to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Billy Napier, the Florida Gators, continuing to work their way through fall camp. And if you're a Florida fan that is reading the fall camp intel and reading what's going on during fall camp, there are some storylines that should really fire you up going into 2025. Now, we probably have to start this conversation with DJ Lagway back on the practice field, spinning the pill, and it looks the part. Everything we expected to see from DJ Lagway in terms of the life that he can put on the football, we're seeing that during fall camp. National media probably not all that happy about it because, man, did they love talking about DJ Lagway missing practice. But if you're a Florida fan, it should fire you up for a couple of different reasons. Number one, as good as DJ was in 2024 as a true freshman, there's a lot to his game that can be sharpened going into 2025, and getting those reps in fall camp certainly going to help. But number two, and something that we sneaky haven't talked enough about, was DJ Lagway's got a lot of new faces in the wide receiver room, and missing all of spring practice, you got to build some chemistry with some of the new cats in this wide receiver room. I'm talking J. Mike and I'm talking Dallas Wilson, two newcomers onto this football team. But you also look at a guy like Eugene Wilson. Say, all right, well, Eugene Wilson was on this team last year, but didn't really play a ton of football due to the injury. That's kind of a new pass catcher for DJ Lagway as well. So not only DJ Lagway getting on the football field so he can improve himself as a quarterback is big and kind of sharpen up some of the things that we want to see sharpen. Building that chemistry with some of these new pass catchers is also going to be really important for Florida. We're going to get that for the next couple of weeks with DJ Lagway back on the practice field. A ton of other really fun storylines. Some freshman starters potentially. And I'll say this, if you are a freshman starting on this football team, we know damn well you can play. This is one of the more complete depth charts and rosters that I think we see in the country. So if you're an 18-year-old kid coming into the SEC and playing and potentially starting for Florida in 2025, we know you're a difference maker. And we got a couple of freshmen that sound like they are not only going to play, but potentially start for Florida in 2025. We do have, I'll say it like this, we have some concerns to talk about as well. What I want to say about the concerns I have for this roster and this football team, my biggest concern for Florida as we sit right now is the backup nose tackle, Mekhi Borio, not really practicing. Look at the other teams that we're talking fall camp about. Oklahoma's trying to figure out who their starting left tackle is. And Tennessee's got 3 scholarship wide receivers currently practicing during fall camp. For Florida's biggest concern, at least in my opinion, to be your backup nose tackle not playing a ton of football in fall camp, you're sitting in a pretty good spot rolling into 2025 in terms of the glaring concerns we have about this football team, but we will get into it because I think it's an important conversation. Look, the expectation for this football team, college football playoffs, competing for a national championship. I think that's the roster that I see on paper. So we got to talk about some of the nitty-gritty stuff about this program as well. I'm fired up to get into it. Before we do, and as always, the Florida fans, appreciate you guys, man. It's been really fun talking this football team. It's well known by now that I am a believer in what this roster has going into 2025. The amount of support has been amazing. Appreciate you guys. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Without further ado, let's get into it. Let's start with something that I think we all knew was going to take place, but it's nice to finally hear that it's taking place during fall camp, and that is, hey, we're cross-training these wide receivers. And what I mean by that is, look, J. Michael Sturtevant and Dallas Wilson, they sound to be two of your best football players on this roster going into 2025, but, they're both the prototypical ex-boundary wide receivers. In an ideal world, they'd probably be playing the same position. You can't have Dallas Wilson sitting the bench because he can't play over J. Michael Sturtevant. As much as we like to talk about the X's and the O's and scheme, it's about the Jimmies and Joes. And you got to make sure you get your best football players on the field at the same time. So we're moving J. Michael Sturtevant around a little bit. We're moving Dallas Wilson around a little bit. We're moving Eugene Wilson around a little bit. We're making sure these 3 wide receivers, the guys that we think are going to be the real difference makers for this football team, they can play in different spots. That way we can get all of these football players on the field at the same time, making plays for DJ Lagway. I think this will be your starting three wide receivers, and that's not to discount the depth that Florida has because they got some really unique skill sets into 2 and 3 deep. But if I were to guess the three wide receivers that log the most snaps, that have the most targets, you're probably looking at J. Mike, Dallas Wilson, and Eugene Wilson, which brings me to my next point. It's something that I have continued to think about and continues to fire me up about Florida on offense. And that is it's probably the most multi-dimensional offense that we see in the country. And what I mean by that is the amount of different ways that Florida can attack an opposing defense at an extremely high level. There's not really a way they can't attack a defense because you look at the passing attack and say, hey, the deeper third, we're going to dominate in that category. We got a guy in J. Michael Sturdivant and Dallas Wilson who both, go look at the pictures of them out there during fall camp. Those are two NFL wide receivers right now in terms of body type. We got DJ Lagway, who we know can throw the deep ball at a high level. The vertical passing attack should be elite for Florida in 2025 because you got the quarterback that can do it and you got the pass catchers who can win vertically and go make plays. All right, what about the intermediate? What about the yards after the catch part of this passing attack? Well, you got one of the best in the country in Eugene Wilson, who I think is going to wake a lot of people up. People sleeping on Eugene Wilson. All the attention seems to be going to Dallas Wilson, and rightfully so. Like, it sounds like Dallas Wilson going to be a dude for Florida in 2025. Don't forget about how dominant Eugene Wilson has been when healthy with the football in his hands. So, look, if you're an opposing offense and you want to try to respect what Florida can do attacking the deeper third, Eugene Wilson is going to have a lot of space in terms of the yards after the catch element of this Florida offense, which has always been a strong suit. I've been critical at times about Billy Napier and the offensive scheme. One thing I always respected in terms of what we see from Billy Napier's offense is getting the football to our playmakers in space. That should be easier when you have a guy like J. Michael Sturdivant and Dallas Wilson and what they can do working vertically down the field. So this passing attack can attack you in so many different ways. Then you look at the run game. Say, all right, Jaden Boss sounds like he has taken a step from a phenomenal freshman year. I don't think it's crazy to be talking about Jaden Boss being one of the better backs, not only in the SEC, but in the country. Oh, yeah, he happens to be running behind an offensive line that it is one we know is good because we saw that last year, but they're just running it back. Like, this should be an offensive line we can lean on when it comes to getting this run game going. So we have the ability to run the football because we got a good offensive line. We got a good running back. Oh, yeah, you also have a quarterback that can attack you and beat you in any way possible. You got a Superman back there. And I think the idea for Florida is, hey, we don't want to have DJ Lagway wear the Superman cape as many times as he had to as a freshman. We want to get some easier stuff for DJ Lagway, become a little bit more of an efficient offense. But when you do have a quarterback that can get outside the pocket, that can get involved in the run game, that can make any single throw on the football field, whether it's from the pocket or off platform outside of the pocket, that's another multitude of ways that this Florida offense can hurt you. There are boxes checked just about every aspect you want from this Florida offense, which makes it fundamentally different from a lot of offenses that you see in the country. There are a lot of offenses that have really elite parts, but they don't have the ability to attack a defense in the amount of ways Florida does. If you want to try to stop the run game, good luck dealing with J. Michael Sturdivant and Dallas Wilson vertically down the field. If you want to leave your two safeties high to try to deal with J. Mike and Dallas Wilson and DJ Lagway throwing the deep ball, good luck trying to tackle Eugene Wilson in space, and good luck trying to stop Florida in the rushing attack. That's what excites me the most. And obviously, the probably the biggest conversation we have to have here is, can Billy Napier take all of these ingredients and put together an offense that I believe can be top 10 in the country? If you get that, Florida's going to be dangerous in 2025. We all know that. Going over to the defensive side of the football, we have to talk more about Jaden Woods. And here's the thing about Jaden Woods, and we've talked about him a little bit as he's generated some buzz. He's one of the strongest and most powerful players on this football team as a true freshman. Just go read some of the reports of what we're hearing from this kid in summer workouts in the weight room. Florida's got a lot of really strong football players on this team. Jaden Woods, one of the strongest. As the pads have come on, as we've gone deeper into fall camp, you continue to hear the buzz around Jaden Woods. That's what separates the freshman that will play and the freshman that won't. Like, can you string practices together at a high level so that we can trust you to play in 2025? That's what we're hearing from Jaden Woods. He's a guy that has been at times running with the ones for Florida during fall camp. I mean, running with the ones over guys like Tyreek Sapp and George Gums and LJ McCray, that tells you the impact that Jaden Woods has or has the ability to have on this Florida defense in 2025. This edge room in general, both Tyreek Sapp and Cam James, then you look at George Gums, LJ McCray, and Jaden Woods, say that it's not only has, guys like Tyreek Sapp and George Gums, who I think have the ability to be top 50 NFL draft picks, you're also really deep at that position. That's important. Like, when you have the ability to stop the run with your edge defenders and get after the passer, makes that defense really hard to deal with. Another really, in my opinion, an encouraging development is what we're hearing from Brian Taylor. Was a little bit undersized year one with Florida last year, coming from the JUCO ranks, a guy that probably wasn't ready to play 25 to 30 snaps a game. He's up to 295 pounds. He looks like an SEC interior defensive lineman, and that's probably the biggest concern that I think many Florida fans who follow this program closely have, is, do we have enough bodies that we trust in the middle of the defensive line? Can we be deep enough so we don't have to play Caleb Banks 600 snaps in the 2025 season? Brian Taylor sounding like he's taking that step is big. We, like we've said all offseason long, we don't need Brian Taylor to be first team all SEC guy, but we do need him to be a solid rotational piece, and you're starting to hear the part. My biggest concern here is Mekhi Borio just not practicing. That was the same thing we were talking about in spring practice as well. It's an undisclosed injury. He needs to play this year. You know what I mean? And the fact that he's seemingly rarely on the practice field does not inspire a lot of confidence amongst Florida fans. Jamari Lyons sounds like he's back full go and back like the guy we thought he was going to be in 2024 before the injury. That's massive news. He's probably your starting nose tackle. We need two other bodies to emerge. We think that Mekhi is going to be that second nose tackle off the bench, a guy that's probably going to play 20 to 25 snaps a game. We need him to play that much. The fact that he's not practicing is something that, again, your concerns about a backup nose tackle, which tells you there's not a ton of concerns on this Florida Gators roster, but it's something that I think a lot of Florida fans are monitoring as we work into fall camp. Last storyline real quick, Kermani McClain versus Dejon Johnson. That's real, man, because the only thing we've heard about Kermani McClain is he is getting better. He is becoming a guy that is maybe living up to the 5-star ranking that he had coming out of high school. Dejon Johnson is a really good football player. When he's on the football field, that is a high caliber starting SEC cornerback. But, it had some off the field issues, which sounds like we've moved on from. Those are a non-factor. But now he's dealing with another injury. A guy that has at times struggled to stay on the football field. Look, if Dejon Johnson does not practice consistently in fall camp and all those 1 reps are going to Kermani McClain, I wouldn't be surprised if Kermani McClain is your starting cornerback going into 2025, which is not inherently a bad thing. I mean, we've heard all the right things about Kermani McClain going into 2025, but that is a position battle that I think is starting to heat up a little bit for Florida going into 2025, and that's the benefit of being deep, man. Like a starting cornerback in Dejon Johnson, guy that we think is a really good football player, dealing with an injury, and we got a guy that excites us just as much. It's a good sign if you're a Florida fan going into 2025. They got all the pieces. We've said it. We'll continue to say they've got all the pieces to be a very dangerous football team. Does it all come together? We're hearing the right things in fall camp. I'll start with that. Appreciate you guys rocking with it. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel, and we'll talk to y'all later.